know, in order to be considered a best-selling manga, a manga has to sell over 20 million copies. But in order to be considered one of the best in history, a manga will sell over 100 million copies. Even more crazy, only 20 manga have been able to do this. Can you guess which ones? Hi guys, my name is Temperance and welcome to a new segment on my channel I'm calling Anime History. It's time for class. Sports anime. The variety is endless. You got basketball, baseball, soccer, tennis, volleyball, anyone? And there's a sports anime manga out there for anyone. I mean anyone. We got jet ski, we got rhythm dancing, we got judo, we got freaking ice skating for crying out loud, we got rhythm dancing. Did you know there was a Nerf gun sports anime? I didn't know until I started making this video. There is something for everyone, and I mean everyone. Do we really need this one? I don't know. But where did the sports anime genre start? What is considered the very first sports anime? Well, the answer actually may not surprise you. In 1928, you have Yasuji Murata, a pioneer in Japanese animation, animated and directed a short film inspired by the 1928 Amsterdam Olympics. It was called Animal Olympic Games, or Doubutsu Olympiku Taikai. It was a short film of monkeys doing gymnastics, bears and hippos swimming, a polar bear doing the vault. This 30-minute silent film is considered the first ever sports anime. I know what you might be thinking. Why? Why animals and why the Olympics? Well, in order to answer that question, we have to look further in the 1928 Amsterdam Olympics. Japan enters the Olympics in 1912, but they don't win their first medals until 1920. And their first gold? You guessed it, in 1928, Japan brings home their first gold medals in 1928 in the men's triple jump and the men's 200-meter breaststroke. Mikio Oda for men's triple jump and Yoshiyuki Surata for the men's 200-meter breaststroke. Breast, not breath. This was also the first year a woman was added to compete alongside the Japanese athletes. Shout out to the first Japanese woman to represent Japan, Kinue Hitomi, who got silver, by the way, in the 200-meter. Japan had a lot to celebrate that year, so it's no surprise that Yasuji Murata was inspired to make this black and white film inspired by the 1928 Olympics. It was largely influential not just to sports anime, but to animation as a whole, really the pioneer of what we know as Japanese animation today. So, how did we get from Animal Olympics to new sports favorite Blue Lock? Well, we have to go from 1928 to the 1960s, where there's a lot of political strife in Japan.
Whoa, hold up, Temperance. 1960s? Weren't we just in 1928? You're kind of skipping a few decades.
Yeah, well, in 1928 to 1960s, you have World War II, and, then there was the bombing. Honestly, Japan was reestablishing itself as a world power at this time, and we're not going to get a sports anime as we know it today until 1966. And I want to be clear here. Sports anime. There's still manga and anime being made at this time, but this episode is called History of Sports Anime. So we're going to stick to sports anime. Is that okay?
Oh, okay, sure.
Alright then. In the 1960s, let's just say anime and manga are really starting their first big boom. We're getting Astro Boy, 1963, Space Ace, 1965. We're getting Princess Knight, 1967. We even have Doraemon, baby! Oh, and did I forget to mention Sally the Witch, the pioneer of Magic Girl anime? Yep, that's right. You wouldn't have gotten her without her.
Hey, you said only sports anime.
Right. I'm getting there. We also get next big sports anime, Speed Racer. Speed Racer was written and animated by Tatsuo Yoshida, another father of Japanese animation. When I say Speed Racer blew up, I mean it got movies, toys, video games, live action movies, even a one-act play performance at the San Diego Comic-Con in 1994. apparently it was well received. The reason why we have to talk about Speed Racer as an iconic sports anime is because it's one of the few mangas that was beloved worldwide. It got international attention, especially in Latin America and the States. It was one of the first animes to be recognized and introduce, I'm gonna say it one more time, introduce Japanese animation to the globe. This is vital to a manga's success. As I said in the beginning of this episode, only 20 manga in all of history has ever been able to sell 100 million copies. The only way an anime and manga can ever do this, sell over 100 million copies, is by getting an international attention, being a global love phenomenon. Of the 20 on this list, 3 are sports anime. And boy howdy, can I not wait to tell you about them. But first, I got 3 pivotal anime mangas that you have to know about that really were the pillars of sports anime. And those 3 sports anime are Stars of the Giants, a baseball anime about a real baseball team, Yomiuri Giants, Yomiuri, Yomiuri. That's close enough. Giants, but with fictional characters. It was a hit with most Japanese citizens, finding inspiration from the story of a young Huma Hoshi aspiring to be a renowned pitcher like his father, who got injured in World War II and pushed into early retirement. The heart of the story is the grueling training Huma has to endure in order to be a professional baseball player like his father. The next pillar of sports anime is Ashita no Joe, or Tomorrow's Joe. We're gonna pause right here, because it's really important that I convey how Ashita no Joe was seen to the working class in Japan at the time. Ever so often, a novel, a piece of literature, a flag, a symbol will be a representative of the people, the masses, the working man, woman. And it will stand in and say to their government, here we are, you will listen to us. So when I say that Ashita no Joe was like that for the working class, I mean it. Let me give you an example. On March 31st, 1970, Japan Airlines Flight 351 was scheduled to fly over 140 passengers from Tokyo Haneda Airport to Fukuoka. Approximately 20 minutes after takeoff, a young man named Takamoto Tamiya jumped out of his seat with a katana in his hand and yelled, "We are Ashita no Joe." And the rest of the members of the Red Army faction of the Japan Communist League rose and hijacked the plane. Oh, and we're not done yet. Do you know Atsui Wakayabashi? No, neither did I. Only a huge animator of Naruto. He goes on an interview and explains how Ashita no Joe, his character, some of it is within Naruto himself, being inspired by this anime to really get him inspired to making real, authentic characters. Goro Taniguchi, animated director of Code Geass, had a similar influence as well. We also got Ghost in the Shell animated director saying Ashita no Joe is one of the best animes of all time. It was influential, guys, mostly to the working class and students alike who felt that they had similar experiences as the main character fighting against oppressive government systems.
All right, I get it. It's really influential, but there's a lot of testosterone in the room. Aren't there any female sports anime? I mean, girls play sports too.
Fair enough. Typically, when a sports anime is about women, it always looks a little something like this, and this, and this. And there's an argument out there that that's not actually what women want, and that's definitely for the male gaze. But in the history of sports anime, that was actually not the case. One of the last pillars to establish a sports anime genre didn't stop there. It helped establish mega genre shoujo anime. I'm talking volleyball anime attack number 1. Okay, guys. When I found out that there was an anime that helped establish sports anime and shoujo anime, and it was about volleyball, I freaking flipped. I mean, just look at my background, guys. I flipped. Let me talk about attack number 1. Let me calm down. Attack number 1. First ever televised female sports anime. It was created by Chikako Urano, whom is literally considered a founder of shoujo anime. It was released in 1968 and was honestly created for older women who had passed the magic girl anime age, and also to bank on the Japan's Olympic gold medal win in the 1964 Olympics. What made this anime manga so popular was not only the good storytelling and the characters, but it was also stood against the dominant soujin and sci-fi anime at the time. We're talking France, Italy, Germany. We're all feeling this unique shoujo sports anime. And what happens when the anime and manga get international attention? It gets this awesome opening.
Hey, I thought you said there were 3 best-selling sports anime in history. Where are they?
Patience, my young viewer. I still haven't even gotten to.
Well, when? I'm already 11 minutes in, and you've barely mentioned them.
We're barely leaving the 1960s. What do you want me to do? Skip the 1970s? Oh, my goodness. Surely you're interested in 1972 baseball anime Dokkaben. It has over 200 volumes in its series, making it the second highest ever in history. Oh my goodness. I cannot not talk about Abusan, another iconic baseball anime that sold over 22 million copies.
You have about 10 seconds until I start clicking on some other videos.
You animal, fine. There are 2 in the 1980s, but I want you to know that you are committing an anime sin. Okay. In 1981, we get the very first sports anime to ever sell 100 million copies, and it is a gymnastics love story rom-com called Touch. This manga sold over 100 million copies. When this movie came out in 1986, it made over 900 million yen in the box office. It literally is one of the highest rated animes of all time. This rom-com sports anime, it also won the Shogakukan Manga Award, which is actually pretty cool if you want me to explain it to you. Right, no, I didn't think so. I did say there were 2 animes in the 1980s that were on this coveted list of 100 million copies sold, and that is no other, greatest of the greats, Hajime no Ippo, a boxing anime.
Not another boxing anime.
Yeah, Japan seems to really like boxing and baseball.
What's the last best-selling sports anime?
You want me to skip Hajime? No way. You don't even know that it took over 34 years to sell over 100 million copies. It just got added to the list in 2021. Last year.
Skip it.
Can I at least talk about the other noteworthy anime in the 1990s? Age 2. Major. I didn't even need to talk about the Ping Pong Club. The Prince of Tennis, for crying out loud.
Oh, the Prince of Tennis. I really like that one.
I know, it was good, right?
Is it the last best-selling?
No, sold over 50 million copies though.
Get to the point.
All right. The last best-selling sports anime of all time is Slam Dunk. Slam Dunk was written and illustrated by Takehiko Inoue. Takehiko Inoue. Slam Dunk was written and illustrated by Takehiko Inoue. Does that name sound familiar? Maybe because he also wrote Vagabond, and he's just a really good-looking man. Like, look at him. My goodness. There are 2 things you need to know about Slam Dunk. One is raging popularity and why it was. Now, in order to know why it was, we need to go look what was happening in Japan in the 1900s at the time. However, first, let me explain just how popular this anime manga was. It is quite literally the 7th most popular anime manga ever in history. It is like as popular as Bleach, as Naruto, as JoJo. Like, it is that popular. Let me tell you what it's competing with at the time it's coming out. Slam Dunk was serialized in October of 1990. It wouldn't become animated until 1993. What else was released during this time that can't hold a candle to this record-breaking series? How about Battle Angel Alita, Ghost in the Shell, Sailor freaking Moon? Yep, all came out around the same time, and yet this basketball anime would be one of the greats among them in popularity and fame. Why? Understand, a lot of popular literature is going to follow what's happening in history at the time. Now, I know that's kind of hard to understand because when you have animes like Demon Slayer, what comments is it really making about history in the present moment? And I'm really excited to see what people say in the comments of what they think. But Slam Dunk, really at its time, is really a great example of what was happening in the time in Japan in the 1990s of why this manga got so popular. Let me explain. The 1990s in Japan will be known as the lost decade. The nation was suffering from economic turmoil with no easy fixes. The business sector had too much equipment, too much debt, and too many people employed. It was a bad mix of problems and wouldn't be solved until 2002. Nonetheless, it required many Japanese citizens needing to find another line of work outside of corporate Japan. Due to economic conditions, many older adults were moving back in with their parents. And what do people do when they have too much time on their hands? They find ways to entertain themselves. The two forms of entertainment on the rise in the 1990s is video games and manga. There's a lot to say about the video games and how that exploded in the 1990s in Japan, but we're talking about manga here. Sports anime only, sports anime manga only. So I'm going to restrict myself, although you should look it up, it's pretty cool. So what we know is that people are home looking for forms of entertainment. What does that have to do about basketball? How does that enter the equation? Well, basketball in Japan has one of the longest traditions amongst Asian countries. There are 3 major events in basketball: the Olympics, the FIBA Cup, and the World Cup. Now I'm gonna stop right here. I don't know that much about basketball. I don't really, care for the sport, hence my background. So I think the FIBA and the World Cup are the same thing, but maybe they're not. Comment below if you know. I don't know. But what I do know is that Japan was having a really successful season in the 1990s with basketball. So it's no wonder that Japanese citizens were at home reading this basketball anime and also at the same time watching their team succeed. 107 million copies sold. Takehiko was even recognized by the Japanese Basketball Association for popularizing the sport. In 1993, it wins the Shogakukan Manga Award, one of the oldest manga awards to exist. This manga goes way deeper than just sales and awards. This manga helped youth experience their love for basketball. In 2006, Takehiko created the Slam Dunk Scholarship, which helped 16 to 17-year-olds win academic scholarships in basketball. Now, I firmly believe that this manga was not only popular because Japan was having a really great season in basketball, not even because more people were at home reading manga. I honestly believe this manga is so popular because the man who wrote it himself, Takehiko, loved this sport. He received letters upon letters of people sharing their experiences were very similar to the characters that he made. Takehiko even goes to say that it didn't matter the sport. It could have been tennis, soccer, even volleyball. It didn't matter. The same experience in the anime, one could experience in and anyone can insert themselves in any one of the characters in the manga. Slam Dunk was praised not for its flashy scenes, but for the heart of the game.
Wow, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Wait, that's it? There's nothing more? No more good sports anime?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would definitely say when you jump into the 2000s, we still got sports animes that totally come alive. We have Ace of Diamond, Kuroro's Basketball, Free, Yuri on Ice, Blue Lock, and a bunch more. Sports anime has come such a long way since Animal Olympics, and I'm excited to see which ones they're gonna keep making, inspiring generations to try a new sport or to not give up on the ones they are currently doing. But if I had to say one sports anime that I still has a lot to prove and give to its audience from the 2000s, it would definitely be Haikyuu. No surprise there, right? I don't know. There's just something about this anime and the group of members that they created that just makes you want to root for them. Alright, that's all that we have for today. Study up, there will be a test, and viewer, fly.